Welcome to your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 741. If you are writing a book or thinking about it, or maybe you've started writing your book but you need some help getting it done, you are in the right place. Good morning. Happy Monday, everyone. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh. If you're looking for me online, look for Christine Inc., like that stuff we write with. Each day, I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 19 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have found that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they have the ability to turn someone who doesn't even see themselves as a writer into a published book author. Those three things are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. Here's today's quote. Expose yourself to your deepest fear. After that, fear has no power, and the fear of freedom shrinks and vanishes. You are free. Jim Morrison. And once again, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Let's have a Mindset Monday episode, shall we? And this one falls under the frequently asked question, who will care about my book? Otherwise known as, does anyone care about those words in my head? And first, the answer is yes. But rather than taking my word for it, and all my clients over the years who have discovered this for themselves when they finally wrote and published their books, but rather than just taking our word for it, I want you to get a preview of this reader validation for yourself. So here's kind of an exercise it's kind of validation that you're doing you're doing something positive, you're writing a book, and people do want to read it, and a little bit of market research mixed in with this. So try this. Step one, if you haven't done so already, make sure you have a detailed profile of the target reader for your book. Make sure you know who the target reader is. And remember my lesson that I've mentioned here on the show in the past about a laser beam versus a floodlight. So a lot of authors, when they come to me, they say, oh yeah, well, my target audience is anybody, or it's, women between, 18 and 50 and all this. So when I say target reader, I am being singular, target reader. The more specific you can be about your avatar, the better you will write your book. You will have that clarity and focus. And you might be saying, but what about all the other people other than that one person that I'm writing to? How are they going to know to buy the book? Well, here's the thing. If you think of the power of a laser beam, so by writing to one person, by creating a target reader, you've created a laser beam. That has a lot of power. You can see a laser beam from outer space. What's going to happen? Other people are going to say, wow, that's a really cool laser beam. I just saw that from 100 miles away. So even if you're not specifically speaking to them, the power of your specificity will attract them. And they'll say, maybe I should read this book too. Versus a floodlight. Well, so you can see the laser beam from outer space, like the Luxor in Vegas, but a floodlight, like at a Hollywood red carpet, you really can't see that from outer space. So that's what happens when you're trying to write to everyone. You end up kind of just spreading the light so far that you really don't write to anyone. So try to speak to everyone, you end up speaking to no one. So that's the first step. Create a detailed profile of the target reader of your book. Number two, this is the fun part. You're going to find this person, actively seek this person out. And yes, social media is fine, and preferably a stranger would be nice, or a friend of a friend of a friend. But if all else fails and you have to use someone that you do know who happens to be your target reader, do your best to persuade them to pretend they don't know you. Number three, the next thing is you're going to engage them in a conversation about your future book, even without them having read it yet, obviously, because it doesn't exist yet. And of course, presumably you haven't finished writing it, or maybe you've even started writing it. The goal here is to get to know that your target reader is a real 360-degree, three-dimensional human person versus a profile on a piece of paper. So by talking to your target reader as you're writing your book, in this one conversation you're going to have to them, you're going to say, oh, wow, my target reader is a real person and they will really be impacted by my book. And that will just add a whole new spark for you once you realize that you are impacting a human life, many human lives, by writing your book. And it will also prove to yourself that, yes, someone is interested in reading your future book. So here are some conversation prompts I've created. It would be great if you could do this like on a Zoom call or a video call, so you could do body language and just kind of watch their reactions. So here are some prompts if you want to have a conversation with your future target reader about your future book. Number one, so you would say to them, the basic promise to readers of my book is this. So tell them, this is what the promise of my book is. And you might call it the intended transformation or the main heart of the novel, whatever you call it, the core thing, like the thing in the middle of the book is this, the big idea. whether it's the promise or otherwise. So tell them what it is, and then say, what is interesting to you about this? How would this draw you to possibly wanting to read my book? So again, to be clear, you're not asking for feedback. You're just having a casual conversation about your future book with someone you believe is your target reader, hopefully to generate some excitement for you and about your book. So again, the step here, the prompt here that you want to do to start the conversation is, here's the big thing in the middle of my book. This is the big deal about it. Why is this exciting to you? Can you tell me why this might make you want to read my book? Number 2. Next, you could read an excerpt either from your development notes or ideas in your head or the manuscript in progress, whatever you're comfortable with doing, and shorter as long as you're comfortable with sharing. And remember, you're not specifically asking for their feedback, so make sure you're clear about this or else they'll start, editing you. You're just giving them a sneak preview of various aspects of your book and saying, why might this be interesting to you? In this case, asking them about the tone and style of the writing. List like the way I'm writing it, like the tone and style. Is this a book that you would be interested in reading? So what you're also doing with these prompts is you're confirming for your own purposes that your target audience is who you actually think it is, in case you need to make adjustments. Little note there. And finally, number 3, here's your chance to get some marketing intel on how to reach your target audience. Ask the person about their social media habits and networks and frequency. Basically what you're saying to them, if I were going to talk to you about my book when it comes out, where would you be most likely to pay attention? So this is based on you, based on the type of book you're writing, based on their social media preferences. But for a book like this, which social media network would you be most likely to pay attention to me if I talked about my book? So a little way to continuing to get validation that your book is interesting, but maybe a little market research in there as well. So there you go. It's a casual conversation, hopefully one that gets you excited about the potential impact of your book, proof that people will be interested, and like I said, with a little market research thrown in because, hey, if you're going to be talking to your target reader, why not? So I hope this really validates for you the excitement that will happen when you publish your book and all these people will read it. So this little exercise for you. I hope you enjoy that. And as always, thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I am helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. And please drop by my Inc. Authors group on Facebook and let us know how we can support your book writing goals. I always drop the link in the show notes. Until tomorrow, happy writing.